This. Hi, welcome back to Plus This. I'm Kathy Deach.
And I'm Nikki Bailey.
And we're really happy you're here.
We're so happy you're here.
I know.
We missed you. A whole week it's been.
And it feels like a world has gone by. Like an entire universe passed through us.
It has. I actually felt as if I woke up in a different universe today.
I know.
I think I accidentally took too much medication, but that's just...
I think I was so happy about impeachment starting that the fluids went back to my nether regions. I'm just saying that out loud.
Oh.
Sorry, Mom.
Oh. Impeachment make me moist.
I haven't wanted to lie with anyone for months and months.
But
and months.
impeachment just got you all a
was
tingle?
like whoosh. Where's my peace vibe? Thanks, sports sheets.
Heck yeah, sports sheets.
Coral.
All right.
Oh my God, that's my favorite code. I hope you're watching, Kelly.
I know,
best
Kelly,
guest ever.
that's
I
just for you.
actually want. I have to go back, and we should watch it together. We have to go back and make clips of them because she's so good. There needs to be more ways to watch her.
Absolutely.
So let's like cut it up and like make little videos so people.
I'm gonna add that to my to-do list.
Also, we should do that together for sure. We should actually have a watch party to do that and ask people what their favorites are. Because it was really fun.
That.
We're just coming up with ideas right here on the show. Spontaneous.
Brainstorming. Hey.
That's it, right here in front of you.
Watching the creative process.
Exactly. Watching the lips that you made happen. Thanks,
I told
Amy Stratton.
y'all. Amy last week came in here with glitter on her lips. Look at this.
And
Look
you
at
done
this
did
glitter.
it. You done did it.
I actually don't think my lips are not as full and beautiful as Amy's. I mean, no shade to my lips. They're fine. But as a black person, these are some narrow ass lips.
I don't think so.
I used to get teased. My cousin Kevin used to be like,
now.
"What happens when you kiss a boy? He just suck up your whole face?" Thanks, Kevin Green.
Screw that cousin.
For you.
Is that a cousin?
That's a cousin.
Screw
My cousin
that
Kevin.
I have a cousin Kevin too.
Mm-hmm. They ain't worth a dime.
No, mine's the bomb.
I'm just kidding. Mine is too.
Yeah.
Hey,
but they do like to make fun. We have a guest. I'm so excited. Speech is hard. I love this guest. She's one of my all-time favorite guests we've had over the 4 seasons. You are friends with her separately from me, which makes me so excited.
I'm friends with her, and I'm also like one of her biggest fans.
Yes.
LMG.
If she only knew how much we talk about her,
we talk about
outside
her a
of the
ridiculous
show.
amount of time. Like we drop her name into stuff
like,
all the time.
We'll
be like,
all
well, you
the
know what
time.
so say. Well, can we say now who it is?
We can totally say who it is. Yes.
It's Ragen Chastain.
Dances with Fun.
Dances with Fun. Oh my God,
she's here. Do you want to join us for the first segment? We weren't going to have you, but we can.
Jump
I'll
on
always
in.
talk.
Yeah, we love. I mean, it would be hard for us to contain ourselves. I think it's a good move.
We'd just be checking with you every so
Exactly.
often to be like, how do you feel about
what
that?
are your feelings?
Just like, is that
I mean, a lot of this is like catch up. Just so you know. Yeah, our first segment's sort of like, how's your week? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff.
I do have to say, like, I totally fangirl both of you, so it's super funny that you fangirl me. Like,
oh, that's so sweet.
That is sweet. I love it. Love Fest. It works.
Love Fest.
We're holding hands if you're at home listening on the podcast. Sorry about it. One thing that happened, which is so cool, she was a guest a few weeks ago. I know you're a big fan. Kelly Schumann is going to be our guest artist on The Fat Show on October 12th. We have a lot of sketches, and we were like, we want to do it, and who can we bring in? And she was up for it, and I love her for that. Thanks, Kelly.
Too,
and
Kelly.
And Superstore, I believe, premieres tonight, the new season.
I'm not going to lie to you, but I did audition for a small role in the season premiere of Superstore. Now, I did not get the role.
Oh, it's hard.
But I did get to read part of the script, and I cannot wait. Okay? That's all I'm going to say.
As a fan,
I'm
that's a really
huge
dangerous
fan.
thing for them to give to
I'm
you.
a really huge fan, and so, like, I'm in the audition, like, trying to look at all the other sides, like, trying to piece the whole story together, like, what's your scene say? What?
Wait, this has 3 characters on it. Okay.
What? Does Amy tell him? Well, get it so I can see. Yeah, no, I'm very into that show, so I cannot wait.
I know.
So.
Please get her on. Nikki, I'm not even kidding. I was telling a friend who's a producer about you. And I was like, she just needs her side card, and it's on like Donkey Kong. And she was like, okay. So just so you know, there are the powers that be that are out there working to make that happen.
You
for
know
you.
what? I truly believe that there is a universe of support that I have at my back, always helping me. So
Good.
I hope some of that universe is like Hollywood executives. That's all. Like mostly they're my dead relatives, but sometimes they could be an executive at a network
Yeah.
Good mix.
or a streaming service.
Yeah.
And I remain a fan of the show, even though you made obviously a terrible casting call. Still love you. So
The problem is they auditioned me to do a guest spot. What they really, really intended was to audition me to be a series regular.
Oh, okay.
That's why I didn't get the guest spot, because they're going to
Into it.
have me come back.
Into it, yes.
to be a
into it,
series
into
regular.
existence. I love that we spent that much time on Superstore. I didn't think that was going to happen. But you guys are very
We are
invested.
totally going to cut this part out, post it so that the people at the Superstore will
Send
know.
it to casting.
Hey.
Thanks, casting.
I want to work at Cloud9. Thank you.
Another thing that happened that we talked about happening last week, but I actually went and watched it. I don't know if you have Amazon Prime, but I do. And I watched the Savage X Fenty show and took videos of myself crying because it was like that. Like I just like kept crying and kept like going, it's so good. It's so good. And I want everyone to watch it. I want all of LA to watch it because LA has the biggest problem with body bias, especially in entertainment. And literally it was like Rihanna gave everyone the middle finger. It was so incredible. And our gorgeous friend of the show, Amanda LeCount, was hot as fuck. And they had a whole section, we're showing it right now if you're looking at home, where it was just the big girls dancing. It was like a row of 5 big girls dancing. I had to do a screenshot because there was no like press photos of it, but like it was so dope.
Yes.
And they were like the whole show stopped and was just on them, and it was like I was losing my mind. But what was great is that it was an entire range. Like it wasn't just like tiny thin models and fat people. Like it was everybody. It was short girls, tall girls, big girls, thick girls, thin girls, girls who have one leg, girls. I mean, it was incredible. It was really
All right, Riri.
it was something extraordinary, and it felt like if she could do that at New York Fashion Week, I want her to do that here in LA, and I want all these bitches to see it.
She should do a special like presentation for all of the Hollywood people.
Because they'll all go because they're all like whores for a celebrity, right?
Rihanna.
Could you just
you
restage
just
that,
do this
girl?
over
Could
here
you
on
just
the-
do that
on
at
the
like the
West Coast?
Palladium or something?
Oh, God.
And not to be too needy, but could you make clothes in my size too?
I know.
Like I totally love the line, and I just want to give them all my money just as soon as they start making clothes. That
I
fit me.
know. They go up to 4X, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
And their
girl.
4X is just like half a size too. I tried, girl. I tried. I tried to make it happen. I tried to squish all this into all that, and it did not work at all.
Oh, man.
But yeah, but no, not to be a humorless activist.
You're
who doesn't
not.
appreciate progress.
No.
It's amazing, the line, and I just want to give them my money.
No,
soon as
no.
possible.
You hear
should.
that? You hear that, people?
Yes.
We just want to give you the money. Make it in our size. We will buy it.
We will give it to you.
Simple capitalism
Yes.
for dummies.
It's so close, too. It's like so close. You know what I mean? Like, it's like they're this close to making it happen. I want them. Maybe you could get like a special custom made one that you could show everybody pictures of. And then they'll be like, duh, of course we should make it in that size because everyone should be wearing it.
But also, like, it doesn't diminish the other sizes at all.
No.
To make more in larger sizes.
No.
Like, it does. It's not like if you make it in a 5 or a 6X, like, the size 2 is gonna, like, her shit's gonna fall apart. Like, it's still gonna work.
No,
Like,
for
they-
sure.
So,
For sure.
like,
I think it's manufacturers' resistance. Like, it's not even her resistance.
And
I think
it's the way
mine.
that fabric is bolted, and
Yeah.
it's the way that machines are made. Like there's huge, large scale changes that have to happen in the fashion industry in order to make it
Yeah.
more accessible, to make inclusive wear. But if you look at like SmartGlamour
Yeah, I love them.
and Mallory Dunn, like they literally make clothing for every human alive,
Yeah.
which is super cool. So it can be done, but it's
Yeah.
it's not easy.
It's like a real commitment.
Yeah.
It's like a real commitment, which I feel like I said, I feel like they're like this close. Like, and that's why I want everybody to watch it. So if you haven't watched it, watch it, because to have those crazy numbers is important. So watch it, everybody. If you already have Amazon Prime, which I'm sure y'all do, they're not a $1 trillion company for nothing. You just go on the videos and you put in Savage X Fenty, you'll get there. What?
Well, I haven't watched it yet, so I'm gonna do that this weekend. It's supposed to rain in LA, which is like a snow day to the people on the West Coast. Like it's the same, it's like equivalent.
That's kind of true.
So I bought snow day food today, and I am ready.
Is that happening like tonight?
It's supposed to happen Saturday, I think.
Oh, okay. It looked cloudy. It looked like it might downpour any second.
Excitement second only to cheap avocados in Los Angeles.
I'm saying.
I bought one today. That's very funny. I bought one today. Guys, just like, you know what's happening.
It's
in my
like
mind.
you're in your head.
It's really weird. This is meant to happen. It's very witchy right here, guys. I'm just saying. Also, the other F word is coming out. It's like all these things are happening today.
Yay! We had some. We've already had a couple of
Dr. John Paul,
the authors, and
Jana
Smelding. So Sorry, Jana.
Schmelding.
So I'm actually on her podcast this week.
Oh my
I am
God.
on Woman of Size podcast.
Awesome.
So my interview with Jana. So like, go check that out.
Yes,
guys.
you should. She's just the coolest.
I'll post it on Plus This.
Those earrings. She's been making like papaya earrings out of her bead work. I've been seeing it all. I want everything.
She's so good.
I know. She is. I was just got to get a clip.
The earrings that she gave us. Like, I got yours.
Yeah, you did. I just need clips.
Beautiful.
Whatever. These are clips. It can happen. Anyway, we're going to take like a tiny little break because we want to talk to Ragen about everything. So
Everything.
Come back. Plus this. After show. Hopefully we have 10 people. 10 people giving $5
on the Patreon.
If 10 people give $5 a month, we could do a whole season without getting money from people we don't trust. Isn't that nice? Guys, I'm literally trying to pimp myself to dating apps to try to get us money.
Ooh.
I'm scared. Don't make me do that.
Ooh.
Just give us $5. I'm just begging for $5. $5. Give me $5. Guys, Patreon. I mean, this is a true story. I wish it wasn't, but it is. So I got on a dating app because of my friend Rodney, really. And
we love Rodney.
I love him too, but he got me into a mess. So there is a plus size, I'm not going to give the name, there's a plus size themed dating app that I jumped in because there was a girl who was like, I met my guy on this. I was like, okay. And they need my help, first of all. I want to be a consultant. Like, I don't really want, like, advertising, whatever. I really need to consult with you, and I need to be like a person, like, this is how you can't look like an axe murderer in your photos, gents. You have to take a picture outside of your car, because when you do that down angle, I'm thinking that's what you're gonna look like when you're shoving me in your trunk. So like you can't, so and no, like you gotta get no prison, no like horrible lighting that's like institutionalized. Like, can we just anyway?
What about the pictures in their bathroom? Can we stop those too? I'm in a
they
relationship and very happy, but
they show their
ridiculous.
Abs, and I'm like they try to be all casual, and I'm like, how long did you pull up that shirt for?
Right. How many takes did you do?
And it's like, and your face is crazy. Like, you're not looking at your face. You're looking at your abs. Anyway. Fix your face. Anyway, so I really want to consult with them, but we're in talks. I shouldn't even be talking about this, but I am. We're in talks about them sponsoring us because this is expensive, guys. Giving you quality plus size content is expensive. And I would rather have you give us $5 a month, like our singing commercial said, than selling my soul and having to talk about dating on this show. I'm a little vulnerable. So I'm feeling vulnerable. That's from Lizzo's
album. If that potential sponsor is watching, she was just kidding.
I mean,
she would be happy to talk about your product.
I mean, I could definitely bring something to it. is all I'm saying. I could bring a definite point of view.
Y'all come with the $5 so she don't have to do this nonsense. Just come on,
Just
y'all.
$5.
$5. That's all we need.
That's
$5
all we need.
a month.
And we're giving you amazing video content, like after show content. Because what happens is we get all comfy and like we hang out, and then afterwards it's like a big love fest, right? And then like all of the guards are down, and then we have this extra conversation, and
you only get to see it.
And you only get to see it if you give the $5. And they're pretty great conversations.
They
I
are.
will say. We just keep it going. Yes, sometimes they're sassy, and sometimes you learn things about us you never wanted to know.
Sometimes they're just TMI, but whatever.
Exactly. We got to talk about Ragen for a minute. So she is a speaker and a writer, and we know this. A certified health coach. She has a very popular blog called Dances with Fat. She is an athlete. A fat leaf. How do you say it? Fat leaf. Fat leaf. I can't say it, which is why I didn't write it out, because I didn't put it together.
Even the fact that she knows the word
I
portmanteau.
I know.
Is that how you pronounce it?
I hope so.
Whatever.
Yes.
I know what it is.
Looking...
I read it in a book once. Whatever.
So the last time you were here, you had this big idea because you had already won the Guinness Book of World Records for heaviest person to ever finish a marathon. Is that what it is?
Woman to complete a marathon.
Woman to complete a marathon. You were like, now it's time for Ironman. We're doing it. And that obviously takes a ton of training. And there has been a development. Can you share?
Indeed. So I called my blog about the Ironman Iron Fat, and I feel like I should have called it Disaster Triathlete. Because like this was a 2-year plan. I was going to do a half Ironman the first year, an Ironman the second year, and then like move on with my life. The first year, the half Ironman was a disaster, and I DNF'd, did not finish. The second year, I got really sick and couldn't do the Ironman. The third year, I tore a ligament running a marathon and couldn't do the Ironman. The fourth year, my partner was in the hospital, couldn't do an Ironman. This is the 5th year, and ironically, the thing that set me on this path of even doing my first marathon was a neck injury. And so, in irony of ironies, that neck injury has recurred and is now stopping me from doing the Ironman this year. So my Ironman was supposed to be Ironman Arizona, which is in November. And there's just no way. I've lost a month of training. And like I was struggling. The thing about Ironman is it's not just the distances. There's also specific time cutoffs.
Right.
And that is where I struggled. Doing the distances is something that I can do, but doing them fast enough. And like I have never been a fast. That's probably part of why I did this, was that I've always been terrible at endurance athletics. Like I quit track in the first 10 seconds because they were like, well, we want you to sprint and throw, but first we all take a 2-mile run as a warm up. And I was like,
I'm out.
I would rather shave my head with a cheese grater than run 2 miles a day. So I'm gonna go. But yeah, so the time cutoffs are my problem, and I was already struggling anyway, and so losing a month is just not going to happen.
Yeah,
and
and your neck hurts, and I'm sorry.
My neck actually is fine. Everything else hurts, like both arms, shoulders, back occasionally, but the neck itself, where all the problems are, that feels fine.
Go figure.
Our bodies are really crazy.
So what does this mean? Are you gonna do it late? Like, how does it work now?
So yeah, as I said, I'm in the 5th year of my 2-year plan, and I really have other things I'd like to accomplish in my life. And like I pulled back, I'm doing more writing and less speaking because it's just hard to travel and train. And the training at its apex is 15 to 20 hours a week, and that's just the physical exercise. That's not driving there, driving back, taking a shower, stretching, all the stuff you have to do. And so it's really hard to do that and keep up a speaking schedule like I had. And I really want to like get back on stage and back out on the road. And so I really don't feel like I want to give another year to this. But I also, like, on the inside of my forearm is where the tattoo is going to go. And so when I look at it and there's no tattoo, like, I'm struggling with that. Like, I set this big goal, I'm not going to complete it. And so what I've decided to do is just stage my own Ironman. So in
how does
Long
one
Beach,
do that?
Wisely, hopefully. So on the area where I train, there's like a beach where I can do my open water swim, or a pool if there's something, it's too cold in the ocean or whatever. And then there's a bike path and a running path. And so we're just going to do an extreme looped course. So like 16 or 18 laps of the bike and like 12 or 14 laps of the run with an aid station in the middle that my partner, Julianne, long suffering, has agreed to person for the entire duration of this ridiculous thing. And so we're going to like have like my food and nutrition and stuff, but also like tons of snacks, and friends and family can come and hang out and have like a little party on the beach. And I will just do my 140.6 miles and get the tattoo, and then like possibly never run ever again in my life. Like even if something is scary, I'm like, I kill you, you kill me, but it's happening right here. Like I'm not running anywhere.
Are you afraid that the repetitive, I mean, maybe that's how you train, so no, but are you like, I think part of the reason why people are interested in doing the runs especially is because landscape is different and somehow it motivates them. Are you afraid that repetition just will make you loony?
I have always trained on like these small looped courses, because if something goes wrong, like if you get a flat tire 40 miles away from your car, like that's a problem and they can't get an Uber to you or whatever, like that's a 40-mile ride back. If you get a flat tire 2 miles from your car, that's a different situation. So like it is a big thing. Like I saw a notice that hiking and running had been suspended in Rattlesnake Canyon due to graffiti. And I was like, so many questions. One, like, why were hiking and running ever encouraged in a place with so many poisonous snakes? They named it for them. And two, like, who saw this graffiti? Like, I would be scanning the 3 feet in front of people, could be naked on fire and actively painting graffiti. I would never see that.
Right.
So I would just be like looking for rattlesnakes straight ahead.
Oh,
but like, this is the thing. And endurance athletes put up with a lot of stuff. So like, a couple years ago, somebody got bitten by a great white shark in an area where we all train. And many people in the forums were like, wisely, I think, I'm not going to swim there anymore. And other people were like, no, because statistically, we're even less likely to get bitten.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, look, I like math as much as the next person, but like I also saw Jaws, and I think they develop a taste for neoprene. So no, I'm a no to swim there.
That happens
forever.
You can't act like that didn't happen.
But yeah.
But you think after you heal and everything that because of the time constraints that you can do it.
Yeah, I can. When I first had this idea, all I understood was it was 140.6 miles. And then as I started to get into it, there's like all this stuff. Oh, well, there's all these time cutoffs, and like you can't use music at all. You can't listen to music or anything on any part of the course, which I think is crueler than the distance or the time cutoffs. Like me and my thoughts for 17 hours, like my thoughts are not that interesting.
Crazy.
I don't
Yeah.
So like I was, there's all these other layers that you learn, but the time cutoffs was a big surprise. And also like, it's not just the one I was doing isn't just like the big cutoff. There are intermediate cutoffs that force you to go faster than you would have to go to make the main cutoff, because they figure you'll be slowing down. And like, it's a way that like back of the pack athletes aren't necessarily thought about, because like back of the pack athletes are people who are slower, and like we do not rush off the line. Like people make a mistake, they fire the starting gun and people like take off.
Right.
That is not us.
Yeah.
We know exactly how fast we can go.
Yeah.
And so like often we keep the same time, so that
Right.
those intermediate cutoffs do not serve us.
Right. So you think that it's so do you find that that's like ableist? I mean, do you find that that's like not, well, obviously it keeps people out, right? It keeps people, stops people from doing it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would say necessarily that it's ableist. It's definitely an accessibility issue in terms of getting people into the sport.
Right.
There's a lot of things you can do if you want to do shorter distance. So like when I run a sprint triathlon, for example, I find a sprint that's going on at the same time as an Olympic, which is twice the distance. So I have way more time to finish before I'm like the last person out and like 15 volunteers are hanging out just so that I can cross the finish line. Okay. So like there's that aspect of it. But there's also, but when you get to an Ironman, it's as long as it gets they're actually double Ironmans and Ironmans through the mountains, and like, but in terms of like your basic triathlon. And so there's no way to like get more time.
Right.
And the Ironman organization, my coach explained to me, like, this is about permitting, and it's about how much it costs to keep the roads closed and do all this. It's not about like, if you can't finish the distance in this time, you're not like a true Ironman. That's not, but like, that's how it works. You're an Ironman if you can finish their triathlon by their time limits.
Yeah.
And so like, it's kind of one of the bummers of doing my own is that I won't be an Ironman. I will be an iron distance triathlete.
Right.
But like, after 5 years of trying, I think that's going to be enough.
I think that's plenty. And hopefully you won't be alone in it. Hopefully there'll be other people who have wanted to do it, but those same constraints that you're talking about has stopped them.
What I love is that you demystify the process for people who, like, I Like, I feel like the walk from my bedroom to the bathroom is plenty of exercise. So I feel like you, like, demystify the whole process. Like, I would never have known that there were times or, you know, like, I mean, who knew?
Yeah.
And so, but what I love about that is that, like, because even if you didn't get to finish the official one, you've documented this process so that anyone else, whether they're fat or whatever size they are, can say, oh, well, here's everything I need to know from the perspective of someone who's not like doing this, like who didn't wake up doing an Ironman, you know, wasn't born Ironmanning. Is that how you say it?
I would watch the documentary. Ironing Man?
I don't know.
Who wasn't born doing Ironmans, I guess, but I like Iron Manning.
Iron
I like to
Manning,
verb a good noun.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like Channing Tatum, Iron Manning.
Iron Manning.
I would watch Channing Tatum, Iron Manning. But I agree with you, and I would watch the documentary. I'm just saying.
I totally would.
I do want to say, too, like, the Ironman organization has been incredibly supportive of me. And, like, they brought me to Oceanside and let me, like, stand in the VIP area, and I got to be at the finish line and meet. There's a guy named Mike Riley, and he announces them. And so when you cross the finish line, he says, your name, you are an Ironman. It's like a big deal. And like the biggest sadness I have is that Mike Riley will not be calling my name when I cross my finish line. But like they've been really supportive and they were clear, very upfront about what the time limits are. So like I knew that going in. My thing is just like, I want events to be as accessible to as many people as possible.
Right.
So like if you want to do this distance, but it doesn't fit for you for the time constraints, then like what else is there to do?
What else does that look like?
Yeah.
I think you could make up a new thing, and
I totally think so too.
This could be a new thing you're creating.
I agree.
Which would be really exciting. But I mean, duh, if anyone's going to create it,
it's going to be Ragen.
It's
totally.
Ragen Chastain.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows. I want to move on because you also are a part of participating in Weight Stigma Awareness Week.
Indeed.
And it's NEDA. Is that how they pronounce it?
Yeah.
NEDA, wasn't
NEDA.
sure. And that is the, help me, National Eating Disorders Association. I was afraid to call it that, like to be like, just sounds like they're like pushing eating disorders on people, because like I was afraid like if I say the wrong letters.
National Association for the Advancement of Eating Disorders. Like
I was a little worried.
Eating Disorder Advocacy Association.
Yeah, I know. I was a little
That's
worried.
not what you want.
Guys, I was worried.
Yeah.
I was worried. I really tried not to look at my paper for that one. I wrote it out because I was nervous. So you wrote something for them. Mm-hmm. And what was it specifically?
So I wrote a blog about weight stigma being the root of eating disorders. And I'm really sorry, but I have to be that guest right now and say before we move on, I want to be really clear because we talked about the Ironman. Like fitness is not a barometer of worthiness. It's not an obligation. People who participate in fitness are no better than anybody who doesn't participate in fitness. A lot of times people like me get used in like a good fatty, bad fatty way to bash people who don't choose to participate in exercise for whatever reason, including they don't feel like it, which is fine.
Yes.
And so like I always want to make it clear, like watching a Netflix marathon and running a marathon are equivalent morally.
right.
Yes.
So anyway.
No, I'm glad you clear. I mean, I don't think you have to apologize for that. You just made yourself clear. I mean, obviously, Nikki and I, as people who do not go to gym for gym life, I think we never get that from you. So you know.
I mean, but I honestly think it's one of those, like, it's one of the things that I've learned from you that has, like, shifted my perspective on myself. Like, I now don't beat myself up because I am not at the gym every day, because because my thin counterpart is also not at the gym every day, and nobody thinks that that's a moral failing.
Yeah.
So like you saying that, I remember like I must have read it on something that and I remember going, what? Wait, I could be, I'm as good as somebody else and I'm not even trying to exercise. What? That it was like it just blew my mind. And the whole concept, the idea of like, that there is some moral superiority if you eat better, if you eat healthy or exercise or whatever. Yeah. I was at another studio the other day and they brought us pizza and I went in to get some pizza and I offered the guy next to me some pizza and he says, "No, I don't eat shit food."
Oh.
And I was like, well, I'm finna eat this shit right here. So could you not call it shit?
Yeah.
And also, ew. But, like, he really felt like he was better than us.
Oh.
Because because he was eating his vegetables and we were eating pizza.
Oh, yeah.
So, thank you so much for,
we double downing.
Yeah.
But I don't think you have to apologize for it.
I apologize for, you're like, we're moving on, and I'm like, no, I'm that guest, we're going back.
No. This is all listen, this is all part of the same thing.
Yeah.
Like I think it's an extension of. Cool. I don't think if it's one or the other. Yeah. I will also say which is why I also think that and we talked about this earlier, don't ever get endorphins from the gym. And I tried to be a gym rat so hardcore when I was in New York, and I hated every moment I spent in the gym. And so I really appreciate you saying there's no moral superiority, because there's some people who don't get that out of it. Yeah. It's just not like, and even if they never even tried to get it, like, people just trying to live life out here in these streets. Okay. Yeah. Talk about talk about what is it now? There's
Stigma Awareness
hashtag how do you say
WSAW 2019?
I'm trying to pronounce it.
Wusau. I like it. It sounds very cool. I would go to Wusau.
Yeah. So how did it come about? So you wrote a blog.
So I wrote a blog. So Weight Stigma Awareness Week has been around since 2011, and BEDA, the Binge Eating Disorder Association, used to host it, and they merged with NEDA.
Okay.
And so now the NEDA-BEDA combination is hosting it. And I wrote a blog basically saying that weight stigma is the root of eating disorders, and that if we continue, because there is a tremendous fat phobia problem within eating disorder community. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's pretty hard to believe that your recovery is the most important thing if the entire world is telling you that being thin by any means necessary is much more important. And if your behaviors that you're doing, as for people who do restrictive behaviors, if your behaviors that people are telling you are bad are prescribed to fat people, which they are, we prescribe to fat people what we diagnose and treat in thin people, especially when it comes to eating disorders, it's pretty hard to believe that what you're doing isn't the right thing to do. And so my blog explored the idea that, like, this is the root, because weight stigma is what brought us diet culture. It's what gives us the idea that a thin body is somehow better. And without that idea, without diets, often they say, most eating disorders, not every diet becomes an eating disorder, but most eating disorders begin with a diet. And so I was like, well, then we have to ask the next logical question. And that question is, where do the diets come from? And the answer to that is weight stigma.
For sure.
So that was the thrust of the article.
That's great. I can't wait to read.
And wait, so then they based was
use your words.
I know what I'm saying. So was Weight Stigma Awareness Week based on your article, or was it? Oh, it was there already.
Oh,
okay.
Goodness, no. Thank you for asking. Let's clear that up.
I was like,
right now. It was not. I did not create Weight Stigma Awareness Week. I am just a blogger. So I wrote a thing that is controversial, it turns out. But no. So I am a national ambassador for NEDA.
Right. And there's several. And there's there have been people releasing things all week.
Yeah.
I've been stalking all of them.
So funny story about the ambassadors, if I can tell you.
Yeah.
So NEDA has their gala every year, and I got invited this year because I'm an ambassador, last year in New York. And so I was looking through the pictures trying to figure out how to dress. And I was like, okay, like fancy dress, but I can handle this. And then I saw the other ambassadors, almost all of whom are plus size models. And they not only were wearing Christian Siriano, but they freaking brought Christian Siriano to the gala. And I was like, I do not have the game for this. So I called my friend CJ Laguerre, who's a stylist, and I was like, help. Like, I have to be in pictures with this group of people. So she totally hooked me up. But yeah, it was pretty funny.
I saw the picture. You look beautiful.
I want to just say that if you are going to an event where Christian Siriano is going to be, you need to sidle on up to him. So has it happened yet?
Alas, he was there the year before I was. Oh. So I was not in the same room with Christian Siriano, because, I totally would have.
Because I'd have me a wardrobe by the time it was all said and done. I do own a few of his pieces already. Thank you.
I own like a bag and shoe from Payless, which is now closed.
Well, that is the only designer.
Christian Siriano for Payless. That's awesome. I had no idea. I wish I had all of it.
Oh my God, no. It's the only pointy-toed wide-width shoe I've ever found in my life. I have like pointy-toed heels that only because Christian Siriano made them.
He does.
He does get us. And he gets our price point too.
I know, right? I know you earn less and are hired less than your thin counterpart. So let me give you some shoes.
I mean, he's the real deal. And we're going to talk more about Emmy looks, which a bunch of our friends, but that's later. We'll do that in the next segment. But I wanted to say that everybody's sort of sharing when they've experienced weight stigma, and it's like kind of like, have you watched our show? Like we've talked about this a lot, but I will say that just this week something happened. I went to check out the Anthropologie collection that is plus size, that it's only been out for one season, and what's so funny is that it's in one store, and I didn't know that. So when I called the one store that I was going to be close to, I was like, oh, what about the Glendale location? They were like, oh, this is the only one that has plus size. I was like, oh, okay. All right.
Wow.
But I happened upon this crazy sale. It's like their big clearance so they make room for their fall. And all of the sizes were all put together in the same clearance section, even though the plus was separate for the new stuff. So well, maybe you don't know. Neither one of you really shopped with me before. People who know, I am crazy. Like I will, if I even like a color or I like a frilly on it, I'm like, oh, that's not really my pattern, but look at that detail. Taking it. Like I will pile it up and find the things that I really want to wear. So I had my arms full of stuff. I went in, weeded it down, decided because the sizing was a little crazy. I usually think of myself as like a 2X, and in this I was absolutely not. But I'm not surprised because I feel like their stuff is always really long. Like I'm 5'2", and it's just made for like the tallest people in the land. So I went back. This is the important part. I went back with my little things in my hand that I had left just to do another combing for 1Xs. And I hear on the other side of the big rack, oh, I mean, it's a shame you're not a 2X. I mean, if you were a 2X, could you imagine that? Oh my God, there's plenty of 2X here though. And I'm like, and I opened up and I like pushed open the clothes, and they like stared at me, and I was like took like a 2X out, and I was like, these bitches talking smack about big sizes. And I went and I found the when I went to pay, I was like, hey, do you have plus size people work here? And she was like, yeah, just like not today. And I was like, okay. I was
or
like,
ever, right?
Well, maybe you should all the time, because then maybe people will. I just like literally heard a couple of mean girls in your clearance section, and maybe if like people who were big actually worked here, like they might not feel like they needed to say that. Mm-hmm. Ooh, child, Pasadena. I mean, trash.
Pasadena's lovely. I live there, but those women were trash.
Those women were trash.
I'm not sure they were Pasadena specific women.
They were. They could have been out of towners. They totally could have.
Sort of
they totally Inland Empire. They totally. That's my weight
They
stigma
was from
story.
West Covina, because we don't roll like that in Pasadena.
That's right. Pasadena.
We're all size acceptance in
Yes,
Pasadena.
exactly. But I thought it was also funny. I was like, oh, do all the fat people live in Pasadena? In LA? Is that why they picked that store?
Yeah, how did you get to be the demographic that got
That's
that?
interesting. I don't know.
Really curious. Anyway, let's take one little break, and then we'll come back and do more Hot Topics with Ragen.
Promotional consideration provided by Scrubs Body, an all-female-owned business giving you permission to pamper in jars and bottles. Now with a brick-and-mortar location at 245 Main Street in Farmingdale, New York. Still available online at scrubsbody.com.
Back. People can see your lips.
Can you guys see my sparkly lips?
Yes.
I can't see it in the picture, and I just want to make sure.
She was looking at her phone. That's weight stigma, guys. They look amazing.
Thank you.
I also think that she really, I can't believe we're talking about this while you're here. It's such a waste of time. But this should be after show business. But I feel that she really did a dark lip with a gold sparkle.
She did.
The contrast also helps it
and
pop.
I wore this pastel-y color. I could have gone with a darker lip, but I went with
if it was a dark wine lip with your pink sparkle.
Yeah. I will try again.
I don't think it's your lips problem.
Really
anyway.
It's a process.
Hot topics. Hot topics.
Hot topics.
We quoted your article last week about James Corden.
I was like dancing in my room, like, that's me. They're reading my thing that I wrote that.
I love it. And I love that you took one idea from the thing, and she's like, oh no, because I was like, oh wait, isn't that the quote we used? And you're like, oh no, I expanded a whole blog about that point. And I want you to talk about the thing that, and it's really, we've already been talking about, but what's the thing that related that is, do you think, the most important thing to learn from that?
Yeah, it's the hired standards thing. Like, so Bill Maher said fat people should be eradicated and widespread mass bullying is the best way to do that. James Corden's response was, fat people should be eradicated, but could you not bully us as much as we do it, as when you do it? Also, I eat a lot of ice cream because I'm fat. Do you get it? Haha. And then the actual answer is fat people shouldn't be stigmatized, no exceptions, period. Right. Yeah. So like that's what should have happened. But what happened to me was that I heard about James Corden's response before I saw it. And people were like, it's amazing. It's so fat positive. And so I feel like I got set up for a sucker punch, right? I was just there with my hands down. And then here he comes with all this internalized fat phobia. And I am such a fan of James Corden. And I wrote, I think in my letter, I was like, please don't let this stop you from booking me ever if I ever do anything to belong on your show. Because, but like, yeah, I was like, this is all from internalized fat phobia. He's, just re-saying everything that Bill Maher did. He said Bill Maher's heart was in the right place. I'm like, I don't even know if he has a heart, but it was for sure misplaced during this segment if he does.
Yeah.
So like this idea of standards for a long time, and like this is just the nature of civil rights movements. So like I'm not trying to like shit on the people who came before me. Like I'm standing on their shoulders. I'm not also going to punch them in the face. So you do what you have to do. I was a queer activist in Texas in the 90s. I made compromises and concessions that I would never make now.
Today, right?
Right. But where we're at as a movement is that for a really long time, we've accepted that an ally message is, well, I don't think there should be any fat people on the earth, but I don't think we should stigmatize them as we eradicate them.
Right.
And like, that has to stop being good enough.
We talked about this too, and you and I have talked about this idea of fat culture and like the acceptance of crumbs being part of the fat culture. Like we are so used to people pleasing, which I think is another cultural thing we have because we're always apologizing for taking up the space we do. And then on top of it, we accept crumbs, like, and just in dating, like being on the down low with people and like people hiding you and like needing like making you meet, like you'll meet at a bar but meet me back at my apartment because I don't want anybody to see me leave with you, and horrible things. And we're like, crumbs, give me more crumbs. So the James Corden thing was sort of like this like national crumbs explanation that I was like, I feel bad for him because he's part of our culture, right? Like he's like literally one of the best live performers you will ever see. Like he is a genius. The Broadway show he did that put him on the map is like one of the most extraordinary things that any person has ever done on a stage ever, fat, skinny, whomever. And he still feels like he has to apologize for being around. Yeah. And it is really sad.
Yeah. That's how people were like, oh my gosh, this moves us so far forward. And I was like, internalized fat phobia and self-deprecating fat jokes. Like, we've been doing that.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. And like, again, in order for him, I mean, it helps to be a white dude, but in order for him as a big dude to get where he's been, I imagine being self-deprecating was a big part of that.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? Because if you are insisting that people treat you with respect while you're trying to succeed in the entertainment industry, like y'all know better than me how that road goes. So I imagine that this has become like, and like we were kind of talking about this, that our culture as fat people is more like a collection of defense mechanisms and self-deprecating jokes rather than like something like, because we don't have all we have in common is a single physical characteristic.
Yeah.
We don't necessarily have fat parents. We don't necessarily have fat siblings. We're just these people who, and which is basically, so Bill Maher's point was, these people with the same physical characteristic, like we should bully them until they're eradicated from the earth. And that's, not a message that we should ever say, well, your heart's in the right place.
Right.
Like your nothing's in the right place.
Right.
Yeah. So I feel for James Corden.
I do. Sorry. No. I do. I feel for him too, because it also like Bill Maher's probably like in the cool club and probably where James wants to be.
And I feel for me as a comedian, I know how hard it is to talk about fat and weight on stage without doing the self-deprecating thing, because it's so kind of what's expected. And it's really hard not only to not live up to that expectation, but then to deal with the consequences of like talking about fat without doing that. Like it's hard. Yeah. And even who I know better, make the occasional self-deprecating joke just because it's like, this is really uncomfortable for me to like, but I know when I'm doing it that I'm hurting myself and other people. So like it's one of those, like, one of the things we talk about in Fetch is like, how do we like say what we want to say and then allow for the discomfort that the audience is going to feel by the fact that we're giving them new information and we're showing them fat in a way that they haven't seen before. And so it's almost like the cultural shift that needs to happen kind of starts with artists, but even we have to figure out how to have the courage and the wherewithal to do it, to initiate and start to get those shifts in motion.
Yeah, I definitely, I mean, God bless him, but I want him to have Haze. I want him to get health at every size
Yeah,
for
I was
living.
like,
Yeah.
can somebody please like
Send him a kit.
like I'll talk to him on the phone. But, like,
I
he
want
doesn't
him
have
as
to
a
be
guest on
the
here so
show.
bad.
Like I just want to talk to him about
Yeah.
it because like he's like his Tony opening when he does the "You Could Be in This Show," which I won't sing because my commitment to community service is I will not sing in public. But like watching him up there as a fat guy singing like "You Could Be Here, You Could Be in This Show," like I cry every time I watch that. And he's done a lot for visibility, but like that wasn't. If you're gonna say I'm the fat person to respond to this, your response has to be fat people shouldn't be bullied. Period. No exceptions.
Yeah.
Like, that needs to be the response.
And he definitely, the culture here in LA does not. That's not the usual. We want you to come here though, James. Just come and have a seat with us.
We love
How
you.
is it?
We'll sing with you.
We'll totally sing
Also,
with you.
You get a cup. It's very cool. The cup you get to drink out of. I'm telling you, they're awesome.
All
Best
kinds of
hosts
things.
ever.
We might
and
have a
then
gift for you
also
too.
Cup. And
We might have a gift for
Prezzies,
you.
like it's
We
it's
try.
everything. You should come.
Try. Time's up, and I don't even know how that's possible. Well, no. We're gonna talk more though at our Patreon. You can go find it. Where can people find you?
Dances with Fat is the sort of main site, and then Iron Fat if you want to follow my ridiculous iron person journey.
I love it, and we of course thank you for being here with us at Plus the Show everywhere. And anywhere you go, if you put at Plus the Show in, it'll probably come up. And also next week we have Liz Jenkins from Blackish on the show. So that's so exciting. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next week at Plus This. Bye.
Thanks, y'all.